The golden bracelet was encrusted with semi-precious stones and lined with purple velvet, a colour so rare and so expensive to make that Matilda was overcome by such an extravagant gift. It was presented to her on her 18th birthday by an admirer she cared little for, the King of England. He had already requested her on many occasions to attend his rooms at Beaumont Palace, but she always refused him. It is not good to refuse a King of England, especially King John. His desire turned to hate. Matilda Fitzwalter was born in 1195. Some believe in Malden, Essex. She was daughter of a wealthy baron, Robert Fitzwalter, Lord of Dunmow Castle, and Gunnar de Valonia. She was murdered with a poisoned golden bracelet not long after her 18th year, and now lies buried in the Priory Church of Little Dunmow.
Welcome to the 8th of our 13 terrifying stories for Halloween. Today we are going to take a deep dive into the legendary life and tragic murder of Maid Marian. This is a true story and makes up just one of the dark and twisted tales that exist in my family history.
Yana and I would like to thank everyone for watching. Every time someone views our videos, you give us both encouragement to do what we love. Let us know how we are doing. Drop us a comment, and for more upcoming episodes, please subscribe to the channel. From Yana and I, we hope you enjoy the story. One bright and beautiful morning at the latter end of October, I set out from the town of Dunmow in a quest to visit Dunmow Church. I had one inducement to lead me there. It is here that the fair Matilda lies buried, who, better known by the name of Maid Marian, shared the fortunes of Robin Hood. The name Marian was originally assumed by a lady of high degree, who was murdered at Dunmow Priory. I unlocked the nail-studded door and entered the church. The sunbeams, which streamed through the delicate tracery work of three lofty windows, shed a mild radiance upon the surrounding objects, and the serenity which pervaded the whole scene, so distant from the turmoil of the world right now. I stood in none other than the house of God. A beautiful airy screen of dark oak, curiously carved, and probably coeval with the pile itself, separates the body of the church from the chancel, on the left side of which, between two pillars of the Tuscan order, I found, as I expected, the fair alabaster effigy of the celebrated Matilda. The face, although much disfigured, bears traces of former beauty. Her hands are clasped as in prayer. On the head, which reposes upon a cushion, is a covering like a woolen nightcap. She has a collar of SS, a necklace of pendants falling from a rich embroidered neckerchief, a rich girdle, and long robes. The sleeves are close to the wrists. Her fingers are loaded with rings, there being 2 on several of them. Her face is round and full, but rather inexpressive. At her head are 2 angels, now mutilated, and a dog on each side of her feet. According to the Chronicle of Dunmow, she was buried between 2 columns in the south part of the choir, but her effigy with its slab, is now placed upon a grey altar tomb in the position it is now. The tomb is decorated with shields in quarter foil, parted by pairs of arches, and evidently of a more modern style than the incumbent figures. This lady's history is as follows. She was the daughter of Robert, Baron Fitzwalter, proprietor of Castle Baynard, who is distinguished in English history as the Marshal of the Army of God and Holy Church, and the leader of the illustrious barons who extorted Magna Carta from King John. Upon her entering her 18th year, he invited the neighbouring nobles to a costly banquet. For 3 days, jousts and tourneys delighted the assembled guests, and won honour and ladies' love for many a new-made knight. On the 4th, a strange warrior, cased in mail, entered the lists and vanquished the bravest of the combatants. His gallant bearing and handsome features enamoured the fair young queen of that high festival, and she blushed deeply when she hung the golden chain around the visitor's neck and kissed his lofty forehead. His countenance was clouded with sorrow, and as he came, so too he departed. History would know this handsome man as the legendary hero Robin Hood. But there was another man at that festival, Prince John, who had honoured the castle with his presence. He became smitten by the charms of the high-born maiden and basely endeavoured to obtain her for a mistress. The Baron Fitzwalter, her father, treated his proposals with just and natural indignation, which so enraged the headstrong prince that, taking advantage of his brother's absence in Palestine, where the greater part of his followers were likewise fighting, he immediately attacked Castle Baynard and slew its owner. But Matilda fled away to the Green Forest, and there, on the day following, was again met by the stranger knight. His burnished steel was laid aside, and he was clad in Lincoln green, the archer's garb. He told the lady that he was Robin Hood, the outlawed Earl of Huntingdon, and that he would shield her innocence from the fierce and cruel ravisher. The prince discovered her retreat and attacked the foresters, during which it is said that John and the lady, who was then in male attire, met and fought. Neither won, and John eventually withdrew from the ungallant contest. She afterwards married Robin Hood, and when King Richard restored his earldom and estates, she became Countess of Huntingdon. When her husband was again outlawed by King John, she shared his misfortunes, and at his death took refuge in Dulmo Priory, which appears to have been enriched by some members of her family. Trusting to spend the residue of her days in peace, the tyrant, however, who had never forgotten her bravery in Sherwood Forest, dispatched a gallant knight, one Robert de Medieu, with a token to the fair recluse, a poisoned bracelet. Ignorant of the accursed deed he went to perform, Sir Robert arrived at the priory and was respectfully and cordially received. Matilda had lost the bloom and vivacity of youth, but her mien was stately, and her person still imposing. The rough warrior felt the flame of law kindling in his bosom, but he strove to strive, and bidding the lady a hasty adieu, speedily departed. Whilst on the road to London, His fond feelings waxed stronger and stronger the further he proceeded from the object of them, and at length, being unable any longer to curb his passion, he turned his horse's head and retraced his way. It was night when he reached the priory, but the light of many torches streamed through the windows of the adjoining church on the weary soldier, and the solemn dirge of death awoke the slumbering echoes. With fearful forebodings he entered the house of prayer, and there in the chancel, covered with flowers, was stretched the lifeless body of the unfortunate Matilda. The bracelet was on her wrist. It had eaten through to the bone. The flesh was ghastly pale, but a heavenly smile radiated from her fine countenance. The priests were standing around weeping, and the disarray died away on their quivering lips when the warrior entered. He flung himself upon the lady's corpse, but it was too late. The golden bracelet was encrusted with semi-precious stones and lined with purple velvet, a colour so rare and so expensive to make that Matilda was overcome by such an extravagant gift. She placed the bracelet securely to her wrist. Within an hour, fair Marian was dead.